Hey everyone, welcome to the RLT podcast, where we share some real life tools, tips, and tricks to help you not only discover but also reach your ultimate goal. What they don't realize, and this is something that I'm absolutely guilty of as well, and this is why I found it so profound when I read it, is that you have to go through the experience to get the results. You have to go through the experiments to get the results. You have to go take the risks to get the results. Without risks, there are no results. Without experiments, without failure, there is no success. So sometimes you're going to have to go and knock on those doors. And that's what it all comes down to, I think, from looking at it from a boldness point of view, saying that the bolder you are and going and pursuing these possibilities, pursuing these opportunities, the quicker you can see if that is meant for you or if it's not. If it's not, there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. I mean, failure is only one step closer to success. Failure is only one step closer to achieving the results that you want to achieve as well.
You're quite right. The idea of boldness and the way that it's explained in this scenario is actually going and finding opportunity and trying to actually improve your circumstance. And I think, when it comes to finding opportunities, and this is one of the lessons that I learned from this specific episode, but I've also now, it's a resounding fact in the industry that you will miss 100% of the shots that you do not take.
In so many cases, like you said, you start with the end in mind, but you also start with the fear of where you're supposed to end up, right? I'll tell you why I say that is because a lot of the times...
The expectation.
Exactly, right? So you want to reach the top of the mountain, right? And instantly you're at the bottom of the mountain. You haven't even started climbing. And already you're thinking, but what if I get to the top and I've got a fear of heights, right? That's the best example that I can give in that scenario like that, because it's happened to me time and time again, where I think that I want to get started with something. I look at the top of the mountain and I think, but if I get to the top, I'm going to have a fear of heights, right? But you know what happens in actual reality is if you didn't think that far, if you knew that you want to get to the top of the mountain and you know what step 1 is, you know what step 2 is, you proceed with that. What you don't realize is that by the time that you get to the top of the mountain, you've gained so much experience of looking down that you've lost your fear of heights entirely.
He also said in his book that often in the real world, it's not the smart that get ahead, but the bold. So, amongst the very, very successful, this is already a well-known fact. It's just, it goes against logic and it goes against most people's grain. Some of the other things that I came across researching the topic, and this I think makes a lot of sense to me as well, is the whole concept of EQ versus IQ. So emotional intelligence versus intellectual capability. And this is 100%, I think, also a part of boldness versus intelligence, where EQ gives you the ability to actually transgress that part in your brain that wants to emotionally interfere with everything. I think if you go Google how the brain works and obviously the different hormones and everything that gets released, but if you look at the brain stem where the spinal cord comes in, that's where the messaging comes into the brain, but then it needs to go through the limbic system to the frontal lobe where all the rational thinking actually happens. So more often than not, if you don't have emotional intelligence, every single choice you make has to go through the limbic system. It has to go through the part of your brain that feels, that makes you feel things. And that's where fear starts. That's where I can't do it. That's where, doubt and all those ideas formulate from there. What you should actually do is just allow your brain to go to the rational part and ration about the idea and use both of those areas of the brain to complement each other rather than always just thinking negatively and adversely.
By the way, we're giving away a free 5-step personal budget template that will help you take control of your financial goals. So just head over to rltstudios.com, sign up for our newsletter, and we will get that right over to you. So head over to rltstudios.com and we will see you in the next episode. Until then, cheers.